What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to continue my 2023 college football predictions for the 2023 college football season. Up next, it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a team coming off a pretty good season last year, coming off a decent year. They went 9-4 last year. Looking at them this year in 2023, a lot of transfers coming in to help them out. They got a lot of production coming back as well. They're under their second year with Marcus Freeman. Sam Hartman coming over from Wake Forest. He's definitely a winning quarterback. The offense is going to look pretty good for Notre Dame than it was last year. Defensively, I think this team should be pretty strong as well. But let's get right to the schedule for Notre Dame, and then we'll give you an official prediction for this team. Here's the schedule for the Irish, again coming off a 9-4 season last year in 2022. Looking at the schedule, they don't play pretty much, a conference schedule. Of course, Notre Dame is one of those independent schools, and they're kind of not considered to be a Power 5 team. But in my opinion, we really count them as a prediction here for the Power 5 teams as well. Notre Dame, they mostly play against ACC and Pac-12 teams. They'll play against two Pac-12 teams on the schedule. They'll play USC and Stanford on the road, and they'll also play a few of the ACC teams. And then in the non-conference and the non-ACC, I should say, they'll play Navy, they'll play Central Michigan, Tennessee State, and obviously Ohio State. So that's a pretty tough, non-ACC schedule if you look at it. But let's go game by game here and give you an official prediction for this Notre Dame team. So they start things off here in a game against Navy in Dublin, Ireland. This game is on August 26th, so it's basically a Week 0 game. I don't think this game is really all that going to be that close. I think, Navy is just not really talented enough to compete with this Notre Dame team. I don't expect Navy to be all that good this year. I don't really study Navy that much either. And I think Sam Hartman gets off to a pretty good start in his Notre Dame debut. With that being said, I think Notre Dame knocks off Navy here in a neutral site game against Navy here at Dublin, Ireland. So I got Notre Dame winning that one, and I also got them winning against Tennessee State. I got them taking care of business in that game, and I got the Irish starting out 2-0. Then it's a road game on the road at NC State. This is not going to be an easy game here for Notre Dame. NC State, they lose Devin Leary at quarterback. He's gone in the transfer portal, but this is still a pretty good NC State team in my opinion. And I've been picking upsets, basically in the month of September. I don't think that's going to be the case for this, pretty much this Notre Dame team. I think the defense is going to be well motivated enough to stop this NC State offense. And let's be honest, this is not going to be the same passing attack NC State team that we saw with Devin Leary over the years. I just think Notre Dame is way too talented. And with that being said, I think Notre Dame escapes with a close win on the road at NC State, and they knock off the Wolfpack there on September the 9th. So I got Notre Dame beating NC State. Then they also take care of business against Central Michigan. So I got Notre Dame now starting out 4-0. Then it's Ohio State here on September the 23rd. Ohio State and Notre Dame, big non-conference matchup here. Obviously a rematch from last year's matchup. The game was in Week 1 last year. This game, it's in Week number 4. And if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, they have to play 5 September games in the month of September. That's really brutal there for this Irish team, but they do get the Buckeyes at home this year. Definitely a revenge game here for the Irish. Ohio State's going to have a pretty good talented team. They do have the offense, but they're going to have a new quarterback. They're going to have some good wide receivers, though. The question is, can them corners really stop the wide receivers of Ohio State this year? I mean, they got some talent at that position at wide receiver, but Notre Dame has home field advantage. This is obviously a back-and-forth game. I've been back and forth on this matchup, and if you saw my Ohio State video when I first started these predictions, I did pick an upset here. And with that being said, I'm going to go with the Irish here to knock off Ohio State at home on September the 23rd, and I got Notre Dame improving to 5-0. Then they'll play back-to-back road games here with Duke and Louisville, both on the road in back-to-back weeks. Not very tough back-to-back road games, but these are not going to be easy games for Notre Dame. I mean, if you look at it, Duke has a lot of production coming back. They have the most production returning this year in the ACC, and then Louisville. You look at, Duke has not the most production. It's Florida State, but Duke has the second most production coming back in the ACC. And when you look at Louisville this year, yes, they do have a new coaching staff. They do got Jeff Brom coming over from Purdue. But this team has brought a lot of guys in the transfer portal. But we'll start with Duke here. Very tough place to play here on the road at Duke. Not a very tough place to play, but if you look at Duke this year, just a lot of production coming back. This is obviously one of those 50-50 games and obviously one of those upset alert type games for me. With that being said, I think Duke, with all the production they have coming back this year and obviously home field advantage, tough game to call. And with that being said, I'm going to go with the Blue Devils here to knock off the Irish and give the Irish their first loss of the season. And I got the Irish losing that one to Duke on the road, and I got them falling to 5-1. Louisville coming up next here on the road on October the 7th. So you got back-to-back road games here with Duke and Louisville. You're coming off a loss to Duke. It's one of those trap games here against this Louisville team. I mean, Louisville could be better by this time because the teams kind of get better by the month of October after a pretty tough start in the month of September. Teams are kind of better by this time when we get into the month of October. This is one of those games that's kind of a trap game for Notre Dame. Maybe they're overlooking this Louisville team, and they're probably just focused on USC in the next week. With that being said, I think Notre Dame overlooks this Louisville team. I think the Cardinals pull off a stunning upset here against the Irish. And upsets happen. Upsets happen all the time in college football. It's one of those upset alert type games for me. And I got Notre Dame losing that one on the road. And I got them losing back-to-back road games here with Duke and Louisville. And I got Notre Dame now falling to 5-2. USC coming up next after that on October the 14th. So you're coming off two brutal losses, both on the road with Duke and Louisville. Now you're playing USC here. I think Notre Dame is really focused on this USC team than the Louisville game from last week. I think they're kind of looking for revenge in this game. The game was pretty close last year. USC only won by a couple touchdowns, but this is a game that's going to go back and forth. I mean, USC is going to have the offense. Yes, Caleb Williams coming back at quarterback. We do got some great quarterbacks going at it here. Potentially Heisman Trophy candidates going at it as well. But USC is going to have the high-powered offense. They have the more explosive offense, but the question is, can their defense stop the Irish? I think the defense is going to step up well big here for this Notre Dame team. It's a back-and-forth game for me. It's kind of similar to the Ohio State game. Maybe it's a defensive battle, but I'm going to go with the Irish here to knock off USC. I like the Irish in this game in a close one. Like I said, it's one of those 50-50 games, and I usually just have to go with home field advantage, and I think the Irish pull off a really big, stunning upset here, and I got the Irish improving to 6-2. They get a bye week before playing Pittsburgh here at home on October the 28th, so they get a bye week before playing this Pittsburgh team. Pittsburgh's going to be a pretty quiet team this year in the ACC. We don't know how good this team will be this year. I don't really expect Notre Dame to have any problems in this game. I think this is a pretty easy win here for the Irish on October the 28th. So I got Notre Dame improving to 7-2 after a win over Pittsburgh. Then it's Clemson on the road after that on November the 4th, a rematch from last year's matchup. Looking at last year, Notre Dame winning it 35-14. It obviously wasn't a close game at all. I mean, Notre Dame really dominated the whole way of the game. Their defense dominated that Clemson offense. This year, Clemson gets them at home. I mean, I've already predicted Clemson's record. You already saw who I predicted to win this game, and yes, Clemson. With that being said, they do have home field advantage in this game. I do concern about Clemson's offense in this game. Maybe it's one of those defensive battles. I think it kind of is similar to the Ohio State game where it could be maybe a defensive game and, but maybe both defenses will rule the day. But with that being said, I think Clemson will knock off Notre Dame here in a close, fairly close, brutal matchup here, and obviously a really hard-fought game. That being said, I think Clemson will knock off Notre Dame here, and I got Notre Dame losing their third game here on the road at Clemson. Then it's Wake Forest after that on November 18th. And then they get a bye week before playing this game. Emotional game here for Sam Hartman going up against his former team here in Wake Forest. Wake Forest, I don't expect to be really all that bad this year. I think they're kind of a sleeper team in the ACC. I think they're not really up there, though, anymore with that ACC championship team caliber. I mean, losing Sam Hartman does really hurt for this Wake Forest team. With that being said, though, I think Notre Dame with home field advantage gets it done. I think they win by at least a couple touchdowns. I'm going to go with the Irish here to knock off Wake Forest. Then it's Stanford on the road to end things out here on November 25th. This is a Pac-12 game against a Pac-12 team against Notre Dame here. Stanford's in a rebuild mode, but this is a rival game. You never know what can happen. I mean, you never know that Notre Dame could probably lose this game, perhaps, but I mean, Stanford's in a rebuild mode. Let's be honest. I really don't expect this team to be all that good this year. However, it's on the road. I don't expect Notre Dame to win big. I expect them to at least win by a touchdown, maybe a couple touchdowns perhaps. With that being said, I think the Irish get it done here to end things out in 2023 with a win against Stanford. So I got Notre Dame finishing 9-3 in 2023. It's very possible this team could go 10-2, maybe 11-1. It would really shock me if they did go 12-0 and probably perhaps make a college football playoff berth. I mean, it can happen. You never know about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It would really shock me, though, if this team went 8-4 or maybe 7-5. That would just be very disappointing for this Notre Dame team. But how good will this team be? How good will they be with Sam Hartman? How good will he look in this new system? We'll find out in the season when they kick off things with Navy there on August the 26th. So that's my official prediction for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 9-3 for 2023 is my official prediction. Let me guys know what you think about this Notre Dame team in the comments below. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.